is getting older, world is getting colder. Trying to get sober, Lord help me get stronger. World is on
How you
my
doing? This is
shoulders.
the 12 to 12 podcast where we talk about real life and recovery, growth, development. That's what it's about. And if you have not yet subscribed to this channel, do me a favor, tap that subscribe button and share for more. We have a special guest today, Heather,
Hi, I'm Heather.
and we're going to talk about the downfalls of addiction, among other things. We're going to start off like this, and everybody who's been tuning in know I like to ask this question. What's the first drug you ever used?
I started with alcohol at a really early age, but I think that marijuana really led me into like that group of people that took me down the path to my addiction.
Yep. It just seemed like it just keeps adding up. Do you believe that marijuana is a gateway drug?
Absolutely.
There it goes. So I know a lot of people like to debate about it, but a lot of people, their first thing they ever used was of a hard drug besides alcohol was marijuana.
Yeah, like we've discussed with a couple people that they don't believe it is, and maybe like they didn't jump into doing hard drugs like right off the bat, and like that wasn't my story either. But like I said, it led me to those people who then introduced me to the harder things later on.
Oh yeah, fast. So that same group you're surrounded by that you smoke with, the same group you went to harder drugs.
Yeah, I think so. It was like I said, it was from a real early age, but like the behaviors that come with it, you know what I mean? 'Cause like I was pretty young when I started smoking pot and drinking, and so like I was already exhibiting behaviors. Like my sister and I stole my mom's car when I was 14 and she was 15, and that was with like weed and alcohol. So already doing like illegal activity.
Yeah.
Just off those two substances alone.
What age were you when you started using?
I was drinking on a pretty regular basis when I was 14. I think my first drink was probably when I was 13, and then like regularly drinking at 14. I was into pain pills by 16, and like the really hard pain pills by about 18. At 21, I was a full-blown heroin addict. And then I was introduced to meth, I believe at 22, and that one was the one that really got its grips into me and caused me to just mess up my whole entire life.
The meth did. So it started from the alcohol, then to the marijuana, and those same group of friends just ended up taking you down that path that it just continuously got worse. Those people that you first started with, are they still around? Do you know what position they might be in their life right now?
I think they are either, I mean, you can either go one way or the other. Most of them are either actively using or have found recovery, but I think most of them are probably still using. And then some of them have lost their life to the addiction. But I'd say probably most of them are still using.
Have you ever lost anyone personally that you knew to addiction?
Oh yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. Quite a few friends. I'm from a very small town, and drugs are very heavy there. And it seems like quite frequently I'm losing someone that I knew, either that I knew from school or used to hang out with, or used to get high with.
When you first started getting high or first started using, was it more like a fun thing, a social thing, and then when did it start becoming something that took grip of your life? It started taking control of your life.
So when I was a kid, like I said, about 13, 14, that's what everyone was doing. I wanted to be cool. And that's what my group of friends
Peer
were.
Pressure kind of?
They were into it, and I wanted to fit in.
Okay.
I've always been like the shy and quiet one, and I just wanted to fit in, and that was the way that it seemed easiest to do, was to do the things they were doing. And then like the pain pills, those came in later when I got in like my first serious relationship. It was a very toxic relationship, unhealthy. And so we were doing pain pills together, and it just progressed as it does. And I ended up leaving him when I was about 20. But we'd went from the pain pills to the heroin together. And then I was introduced to meth, and like my thinking was like heroin was a downer, right? And it didn't make sense to me if I was already feeling down, like from this bad relationship to do something that made me feel more down. So when someone introduced me to meth and it gave me energy and made me feel good, like that was my moment. I was like, I have arrived. This is where I want to be.
So you was like, when you used the other drugs, you felt less depressed.
I did, but it still like it didn't give me because like depression can make you feel like down, no energy, and all that. So like when I was doing downers, like I felt good, but it just wasn't satisfying enough. So then when I
Started doing the uppers,
and then-
it just because you moved around more, it made you feel like you were less depressed.
it made me
because
feel
you
less
moved around
depressed.
more.
And then like I said earlier, I was very shy. Like I felt like I could talk to people and carry on a conversation without feeling weird, or I could be more outspoken. And so that was a big reason for why I used starting off.
And then you ended up in a relationship. Is the majority of relationships you were in since you've been using, been with other people that used?
Oh yeah, definitely. Everything in my life centered around drug use. Like I had people that, came into my life. Basically, if they tried to get me away from it, I would like cut them out of my life because I didn't want to hear it. I knew what they were saying was true, but I wasn't ready to deal with it. I wasn't ready to stop doing what I was doing.
What do you think the root of the problem came from with you using?
I'm still kind of working on that. I know that I have some
Trauma, maybe? What do you think?
yeah, I definitely had some trauma as a child. I was raped when I was 14, which really made like high school really hard, and so like I used to not have to deal with that. And then the relationship I was in through high school. But then once I got older, I got pregnant with my oldest daughter, I believe when I was 22, and I was able to quit using when I was, during pregnancy. And then I relapsed after, and I couldn't understand why I couldn't quit using after that. I hadn't reached that point yet in my addiction where it was no longer a choice.
Yeah.
And then it's just been a series of like bad events since then, like that I just wasn't willing to quit using.
So it was basically like a crutch for what you was going through in a lifetime. Like, you know what, you could depend on something, outside substance besides yourself, to be able to feel better
Yeah.
about the situations you were going through.
That to feel accepted, just to fit in and not feel like an outsider to myself, if that makes sense.
So how did it work with you going to work and using drugs? How did that go?
Not very good. I wasn't able to keep a job very long ever. I did have a career at one point. I was a correctional officer at a juvenile prison in Indiana, and
The correction officer.
I was there.
How long was he there? How long
year,
you went there?
a year and a half.
How was it in the juvenile prison, man? Because I know I was locked up. I was younger, but I know that it's always seems like it's wilder in the juvenile prisons.
Absolutely. That was hands down the most stressful yet the most rewarding job that I'd ever had, because I could go in there and talk to those girls because I was once them. And so I was able to build up like this rapport with them, where like I know what you're going through, I know what you're dealing with, and be able to help them. But about a little over a year in, I'd relapsed, and it caught up to me. I was fired from that job. That was actually a start of like one of the worst periods of my life. I got fired from that job. The guy I was seeing committed suicide about 2 weeks after that.
Dang, did you have any signs that he was gonna commit suicide?
No.
Like what happened? It was just one
No.
day what happened?
He had always been like a friend, but it was a pretty new relationship, and he was in like legal trouble. And from what I understand, he was getting ready to go. That he was worried they were going to send him back to prison, and he was not willing to deal with that.
Dang.
Yeah.
What did he do? Shoot himself? Or? So he was about to go back to prison, just like I'm not going back anymore. That's a wrap.
Yeah.
Listen, folks, don't give up on life. Don't give up on it. God got a plan for your life. It doesn't matter how hard it is, and I truly believe that. You got a purpose. It's just what steps you're gonna take to it.
Yeah.
What direction you're gonna go to. Definitely Satan wants to see you destroy yourself. And man, and every time I look and I see people do that, man, it's just sad to see people take their lives. And what was he going to go to prison for?
I'm sure it was drug related.
Drug related. So it all comes back in a circle. That's a downfall of so many lives, so many families. It's bad. You know what? Did your family use before you started using? Was it like a generational thing? Did you have other aunts, uncles, or cousins, or your parents?
So my dad, he was a functioning alcoholic. He drank for most of my life up until I was about, I want to say 16 or 17. My mom is not one of us, but me and my sister are both addicts. My aunt on my mom's side, it doesn't seem too strong on my mom's side, but it seems pretty heavy on my dad's side, especially with alcohol. But like I think that's kind of what took my sister and I down that path, was that like there's quite an age gap between my mom and my dad. They're 11 years apart. My mom got pregnant with my sister at a very young age. She had her at 15, had me at 18, and then had my little sister at 21. And by 21, she was already in a failing marriage with a full-blown alcoholic. And so like they split up when I was around 11, and I took it personally, and I didn't understand then like what I do now, that she was young, she did the best with what she had and what she knew to do. And what's really ironic about all that is that my mom had left when I was younger. She had moved to Texas with a man, and she left me behind. She took my sister with her. She left me behind. And that definitely caused some like abandonment issues. And then later on down the road, when I was in the height of my addiction, I left my daughter. And what's full circle with that is that she's the one that took my daughter in and raised her when I wasn't able to do that. So there's definitely like it, not just with the addiction, just many general I can't say it generational curses that I would like to break within my family.
Yeah. So how's your relationship with your daughters now?
They're great. My daughter is 10 now. I'm trusted to pick her up for weeks at a time. Like I picked her up almost 3 weeks ago. It was supposed to be just for a week, and I've now had her for 3 weeks. And I've had another baby since getting in recovery. She's 10 months, and like I'm able to be that caretaker for both of them. You know, when I have my oldest, I'm able to be trusted to know that I'm not going to put her in harm's way or in sketchy situations anywhere that she shouldn't be.
Oh, nice. So things have changed, and you're mending those relationships. You're working on breaking those curses that you were passed down.
Absolutely.
Because you don't want it to pass down to the next generation.
Absolutely. Someone asked, I think it was Rucker, asked in class the other day, like, why we're doing this. And my answer was, because I don't ever want to see either one of my girls in a trap house. But God forbid if they ever end up there, like, Mom knows the way out.
Yeah. Yeah, that's great. That's great to hear, definitely. So, it was your downfall. Have you ever went homeless because of that?
Absolutely. I've had numerous times, like, living out of my car, and both times that ended with me being incarcerated. The more serious time was this last time I'd gotten in trouble. I was arrested for dealing methamphetamine, possession of methamphetamine, and they were offering me 15 years in prison for that case.
Hey, 15 years. What was it, trafficking? Mm-hmm. Dang. What state was that?
Indiana.
Oh, Indiana? Mm-hmm. Jeez.
Yeah. The thought, like, just the things that kept playing on repeat in my mind was that my little girl was going to be a legal adult by the time I got out, and that my dad's in the final stages of the COPD, and that, you know, he was going to pass while I was in there, and that was a hard pill to swallow.
Yeah, COPD is the lung disease. Mm-hmm. Yeah, my granddad and my uncle died of that. Yeah. It's pretty rough way to go, man. I remember when I was in the hospital and I had my and I had a tracheotomy. I guess that kind of after my motorcycle crash. I guess it was kind of like the feeling that they might have. It's horrible.
Yeah.
Not being able to catch your breath, man. There's people smoking, no good. Don't be smoking, man. Because for what I seen, it's just not a good way to go, man.
No.
It's very painful. Because when I was in there, I'm like, okay, they got to come in, they got to clean the trach or whatever like that. But then it was like, the times that I couldn't catch air, it just felt like I was gonna die. I'm trying to breathe. I can't breathe because both my lungs collapsed in my motorcycle crash. So I was in ICU for a month. So I'm like, man, what the heck is going on? And my jaws were broke, so they had to feed me through like my jaws were wired up, so they had to feed me like they put a tube in my nose and looped it around my stomach. So they had to feed me through a tube for like I had to eat through a tube for a month because I couldn't. My mouth was wired up and I couldn't breathe. I couldn't do anything. So it was like I just know that's a bad way to go.
Yeah.
It definitely is. So once you went through that downfall era, what was the changing point in your life?
What I just said, sitting in that cell and those realizations hitting me. I remember going up to my cell and just asking God, like, if you just give me one chance, like, I'll show you that, like, I want to change and I'm gonna do it this time. Because I'd always made like those foxhole prayers anytime, you know, I had a negative consequence that I didn't want to deal with, but like I meant it that time.
Oh, you had some jailhouse religion going on.
Oh yeah, yeah, definitely.
Yeah.
But yeah, and that's what I did. I got out. My dad bonded me out. I spent like 2 days with my daughter at my parents' house, and then I immediately came down to Louisville into a program here.
Oh yeah. How many programs you been to in Louisville?
Quite a few.
Yeah.
Quite a few, because while I was clean, I wasn't working on the things within me that needed to be changed. So like I immediately pretty quickly got involved with a guy I met at that first program, and then I spent a lot of time chasing him around and being more worried about my relationship than I was my recovery. I ended up having a relapse last May, for those same things, but I put in a lot of work since then to change that. Like, I'm okay with, you know, being by myself now, and it took a lot of work internally to get there, but I'm really grateful for the growth and progress that I made with it.
So when you relapsed, how did the relapse happen?
So my boyfriend had relapsed, and I followed him. Like, we had been in a program, and we ended up having to leave because he had to like recertify for his insurance, and he made too much, so we had to leave. And his sponsor at the time said that we could go stay with him because I was pregnant with my youngest at the time. But the stipulation was that if either one of us used, we had to go. And he used. And so instead of doing the smart thing and getting myself back in somewhere, like, and staying away from it, I decided to go staying in hotels with him while he's actively using. And when he's using, our relationship turned very toxic, very, very unhealthy. And I couldn't cope with that, but like I wasn't doing what I needed to. I was just staying around it until I finally was like, you know what, I'm gonna get high because I can't deal with this.
Dang. So it all came back to the people that you surrounded yourself by. Mm-hmm. Bad influences.
Yeah.
Bad friends. Bad relationships. It all goes. I notice when I look at things, I'm like, okay, I see a lot of people in recovery. And we had another podcast with Tish involved. Sorry, Tish. And she was talking about her relationships and how she felt like during recovery, you should just be by yourself and focus on yourself. I believe that, I highly believe, me personally, no sex before marriage, I think it's the best thing to do so you can really get to know a person, because once you do start having sex, all type of feelings and emotions get involved that you need to know a person before who they are, before you even take that leap and bound, you know, and then you won't have to worry about children out of wedlock and different things like that. Like, I've been celibate 7 years now by choice, but that's just because I know what level I want to be when I actually do start a family. And I just enjoy helping more people and just focused on God. I've been a minister for 7 years, so that's when I just been on my focus trip right now. You know, I'm on my journey. But for me, seeing so many people and the broken relationships and, you know, people with different diseases and things, it's just a lot out there. And especially with the broken homes I've seen, it doesn't seem like it's really worth it. You know, just for a little bit of physical pleasure. If they have discipline, then you get to know a person, you know?
Yeah.
Because then last thing you want to do is actually get involved in a relationship with somebody who's an addict. You know, if they're actively using, or even recently, no, they need to have some time under their belt. They need some years under their belt. So you don't, they're doing the same thing you want to do. And so many people do it because so many people are alcoholics. People like to say they go out and party and hang out, but they're addicted because every week they want to go out and party.
Yeah.
They get done with work, they want to have a drink. You know, they can't go a day without drinking almost. They can't go a day without using a drug almost. So then it's like, okay, they might be still working, might still have certain things going on for themselves, but at the end of the day, when you're using, you're selfish.
Yeah. And it took a long time for me to get that too, because like that was my first experience with like being on the other side of it, watching someone that I love, using and like destroying a family.
Cause you were sober, and you was in the situation that you was in before. And you like, I'm sober, and you're looking at that. Mm-hmm. So how did that make you feel when you was in that situation?
I mean, in a way, I'm kind of dealing with it now. We recently split up because he's using again, and it just got really unhealthy. And I don't want my daughter raised in that environment. I want better for her. I remember growing up hearing my parents screaming and fighting. My dad, drunk and picking fights, and I remember my big sister like covering my ears and walking me into my room and telling me it's gonna be okay. And I don't want that for my daughters. I don't want that for myself. Like I'm at a point in my life where like I value the peace that I have. Like I worked really hard to build my life to where it's at now, and even though it's not done, like I definitely don't want to backtrack, and I don't want to lose the benefits that I've already gained, like peace of mind, being able to relax in my own home, being able to not, how do I word this, like not project onto my daughter, either one of them, because I'm fighting with their dad. I just don't want to deal with any of that anymore.
Yeah, it's not worth it. You shouldn't have to.
Right.
You should not. Everybody should want better for themselves. You should want better for yourself, and who you surround yourself by. You are who you surround yourself by. You're just gonna end up. And the Bible says two can't walk together that's in agreement. Something's gonna end up happening. Cause you got this view, this person has this view. Eventually, if y'all walking together continuously, not just, hey, when I see you when it's high by, that type of stuff, or we have to have a good conversation to keep it moving, that's different, But if you're every day with a person, every day, and this person is your so-called friend, and you got this view, this person has this view, you're on this path, y'all on two different paths. That means y'all in two different directions y'all going. When you're doing that, then it's going to be a clash somewhere because you got a different belief system. It's going to be a clash somewhere. Somebody's not going to want to be around somewhere. Somebody's going to do something that the other person doesn't like eventually. And because y'all already have two different views, you're not going to want to put that work in together to make it work. And then if it's something that's negative, as bad and horrible as using, then you already setting yourself up for failure.
Right.
It's really not worth it. Especially you got kids involved, you got your family involved, you got relationship involved, you got yourself involved. Because you got to change for yourself. That's your main thing. You do everything you do. You change, like you said, you was in the cell. You started thinking. So many people end up in that cell. They're at that rock bottom point, and they're like, okay, this is it. I'm tired. I'm just really tired right now. And that's it. And if you don't get to that point, then most likely you end up with it forever in prison, or you end up dead. You end up losing your life prematurely. So it's like like so many of your friends did that you happen to see. So now since you seen the downfall era, you're moving upward, you've been sober for a good amount of time now. What is your plans now that you're doing it? I know it's one day at a time. It's always one day at a time. You can make plans one day at a time, but what are some of your goals that you have now?
I'd like to get involved with like outreach. I know whatever I do, like I want it to be fulfilling. It's like I've had jobs where I'm just not happy going into work, like, and that's changed just being here with where I'm at now. I love coming into work every single day. But like it's okay to want more, and that's something I didn't understand for a long time. But it is okay to want more, and like I still want more. Like I want to get involved in outreach. I want to help others. I want to be a good mama to my girls. I want to eventually be sponsoring people. I'm not there just yet, but like that's something that I want to do.
That's good.
Yeah.
So you got your head on the right path then.
Yeah.
See, that's good. See, one thing about the moral of the story is you could go through life, you could have things, you could go through a downfall point. But there comes a time that when you get that call, and I call it a call from God. That's what I call it. And then this spirit just feels like it's dead, you know? And then you get that life inside of you like, I'm going to change. I'm tired of it. I'm not going to do this. I got family. I got kids. Whatever it is you have going on. And then you find in yourself like, you know what? I'm tired of being homeless, tired of doing drugs, tired of dealing with people that's doing drugs. I want to help people, but I don't want to be in a relationship with them. And that's the difference, I think. And that's what caused a lot of downfalls. Instead of just, you know, person just keeping it this way, like, hey, you know what? I got a barrier here. You know, I'm drawing lines with people.
That's been one of my biggest problems is that, like, I can set a boundary, but I struggle with enforcing it. I'm getting better with it. I'm getting a lot better with it, but it took a lot of hard consequences to be able to do that.
Yeah.
I tend to have to learn everything the hard way, sometimes numerous times.
Yeah.
But that's, again, something else I want to change. I don't want to keep having to repeat hard lessons because I'm too stubborn to change something that I already know I need to change.
Definitely. So you know to reach those goals, you just have to draw those lines with certain people. If they're not on that same path you're on, that's a wrap. You just got to be that way. I mean, be honest, you just got to be that way, man. Sometimes you just got to be, I hate to say it, a jerk. You don't got to be, you know, they'll look at you as a jerk. Don't mean you got to be treating the person bad, but, you know, hey, listen, I can't deal with you no more. What are you talking about, man? Listen, I done made a decision that we can't be friends no more. We can't be in a relationship no more. You know, that's what happened with me. I was 7 years ago when I was in a relationship. I was like, man, shit, that's a wrap, man. This is, you know, things have changed. They think I'm going to mess with somebody else. No, that's it. That's a wrap. I'm following God, get my life back right. I don't have time to be dealing with any type of negativity, no toxicity or anything about that. I just started focusing on myself and getting myself right and doing what I need to do. And then my health got better. Everything got better as far, you know what I'm saying? Like, started hitting the gym. And that's why I love fitness, man. Health is wealth, you know. You know, I went from drinking a lot to not drinking. You know, so just you drink and then it affects your body, then you gotta wake up. And then you feeling with hangovers and all that crap there, man. It's horrible on your body. Stomach hurting, all type of work. Like, dang, man, my stomach, I don't drunk too much. I don't like that. You know what I'm saying? I like feeling good. I like eating good. I like, you know what I'm saying, being in the right state of mind. Because when you're altering your mind, you know, you don't make the best decisions. So then you have to just remove yourself. Sometimes it might be a relationship you're in. You know what? I'm like, hey, I could love you, but shoot, that's a wrap. That's it.
Yeah, I just decided.
Adios, you know, I wish the best for you, but I can't deal with you. I can't be around you, period.
Yeah, I just decided I don't want anything that's going to be emotionally or mentally draining to me or my kids.
Yeah. Because you got to main focus. Like you said, you want to be in a position, you got a goal, you want to be there for your kids, you don't want it. So the most important thing is who you're going to be around, who your friends, who you're going to surround yourself by. That's the most important thing. You know, who you're going to be in a relationship. That's the most important thing. You know, because if you don't find anybody in your path, it's best just to be by yourself. It's okay to be alone. It's okay to be by yourself. You know, you could associate with people, but when you bring someone into your circle and saying, okay, listen, you're going to be my friend, you need to make sure that you're really your friend. You know, and friends. And then if you're on this path, don't you want to be around people that's doing the same thing, doing good like you're doing, or at least trying to do good like you're doing? They might have been through the same thing. They might be in the same situation you are at right now. But if they're not pushing to make an effort like you're making an effort, what's the point? You're going to end up dragging me down because I'm spending a lot of time with you.
That's the reason I've let go a lot of friendships from back home because, like, I love them, but like I don't want to slip myself, and I love them enough that I don't want to watch. I don't want to watch their downfall either.
Yeah. Don't want to see it. You know,
Yeah.
it could be a hard thing to do, see somebody who's actually destroying themselves that you care about. And then it's like, you know, I don't even want to see, I done tried everything I did. Especially if you start getting the bad end of the stick. They start coming at you disrespectful because you got yourself right, but then they're looking at you like you're the problem
Yeah.
because they don't want to get right. You don't have to take that. You know, people get verbally abusive, physically abusive, and you know they'll gaslight you, all type of stuff they'll do and make you seem like, no, listen, you're not the bad person for going out and getting yourself right, putting your family first, and wanting to do better. But if a person gaslights you and try to make it seem like, oh, you was just doing this 6 months ago, you was just doing this a year ago, now you think you're all almighty. Nah, that's gaslighting. No, that's the last person you need to be around. That person does not care anything about you. That person does not. I don't care who they are. And if they're involved, and if they're addicted to something, they got drugs or whatever, they're not even in the right mind to care about anybody. So you already know, listen, you're addicted. Your drug comes first. You know, you might be all right when you're sober, but you're not sober now. So I know what comes with that. You come first. And then it's just like, you know, it's insanity. You don't keep doing the same thing expecting a different result. You know,
Yeah.
you don't keep doing it. You know it's hot. You just gonna keep touching it over and over again. The hot stove burn yourself over and over and over again.
Yeah,
No.
I'm tired of touching the
You know,
hot
yeah,
stove.
get tired of touching the hot stove, man. It's no fun. But it's good to see that you're on that path. And the thing about downfall is definitely important with who you surround yourself by. Are they friends? Are they enemies? Are they frenemies? Friends, that's enemies. That's the important thing. And I want y'all to make sure that y'all are dealing with people who's on the same path as you all. Deal with friends. Not enemies, not frenemies. So, anything else you want to say to the people before we get up out of here?
Man, if you guys are struggling, just reach out. Like, I know that if I can change, it's possible for anyone. There's help out there, and you just gotta ask for it,
Just gotta ask for it. Closed mouth don't get fed.
right?
Closed mouth do not get fed. So everybody, we're about to wrap it up. That's a show for today. 12 at 12 podcast. Make sure you subscribe. We're on Facebook, YouTube, TikTok, Instagram. Make sure you subscribe. Check out the channels. Check out the shorts. If you need help, hit up First Step Recovery. You see the names on these videos. You see the numbers on these videos. Contact them. The people are here for you, and we're here to help you. I love you all, and remember, stay blessed.